This is the summary where the Alter Rebbe continues with the third form of tshuva, which is higher than just avoiding evil and doing good, but it's coming back to the very essence of Hashem. Like it says, a person should spend all his days in tshuva. It's not a reference to overcoming averas, but to be in this endless pursuit of realigning himself with Hashem. It brings the source material, like it says by Kriyas Yamsuf, Ad Yavaram Hashem, that there's a level higher than even Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, higher than Seviv Kolamin, which is to come into the very essence of Hashem. Now, this is the source of the Jewish neshama that comes mi-ayin, do mi-ayin ba'asa, ayin mazel Yisrael. And this is that level of tshuva, which is comparable to the level of Torah, or is effectuated through Torah. Because mitzvahs, like Surmei Ra and Asay Tov, is still going to be a makif. It's through the study of Torah that it becomes embedded within you like food that is absorbed into the very body of the person. And this is why Hashem will pardon a person for idolatry and Gili Arais and Shvichas Damim, but not for being disrespectful of Torah. That mitzvahs are called the Evarim de Malka, the limbs. Just like a person could, although they would be greatly damaged, but they could live without their external limbs, but they can't live without or even of mild damage to their internal organs, like God forbid, a punctured lung. So too, Hashem will forgive a person for violating mitzvahs, because the mitzvahs are the limbs, but not for being disrespectful towards Torah, because Torah is like the internal organs. So this is that third level of tshuva that we discussed. Then the Alter Rebbe goes on and he says that the three levels of tshuva are comparable to the words bechor. Bechor, of course, means firstborn. It is comprised of three letters, beis, which represents all single digits, 1 through 10. Chaf represents all the tens, 10 through 20, 30, etc. And Reish represents the level of the hundreds. And the tshuva of the first level is representative of the level of nefesh in the world of Asiya. That is, down here in this physical world, where you only have the single digits of godliness, you have very minimal godliness, and therefore we are vulnerable to Avera. We live in a world of Asiya. So the first level is avoid that. The second level is Ruach and Yitzirah. And the third level is Neshama, the intellect. And this is why the machshava zoros of tzaddikim are so much worse than even the averas of the Amei Haaretz, because when they're dealing with that level of neshama, there's such a super sensitivity. Then the Alter Rebbe went on to describe that the word bechor is similar to the word for Baruch, as in the brachas, that we draw down atah, you in your very essence, to become Hashem Elokeinu, and that Hashem says kadosh li kol bechor, we have to devote it to Hashem. And even if we are in the far places, another form of the word for beis chaf reish, we can be a reish chaf veis. We can be a total chariot to Hashem. Why? Because wherever we go, Hashem is with us if we will bring him into that level. So we can be in Nahar Kvar, in this faraway place, but we can still be rechev. We can still have this level. How is this possible? So we look to the story of Yaakov and Esav, that Yitzchak describes to Esav, how did Yaakov steal away Esav's bechor, which is representative of how we make sure that Kedusha doesn't become manifest in the klipa, is your brother comes with trickery. That is, that he never becomes a brother with Gashmias. He only deals with Gashmias in a way of trickery. He's not really interested in eating. He's only interested in the nourishment that he gets from eating so that he can serve Hashem. So he doesn't deal with the eating, quote, directly, only through trickery. Now we understand the idea of Mateva Elecha Yaakov. Yaakov, which is taking the Yud, the highest level, and bringing it down to the Akev, is a reference to the two first forms of tshuva, about avoiding evil and doing good in the very pragmatic form. And that's why it's associated with the level of oil, which is temporary. But Mishkan Asecha, Yisrael is representative of dealing with this third level of tshuva, the level of Torah, the level of intellect, and that's why it has a more permanent level, and that's why it's Mishkan Asecha. And this is what the Malach said: Kisarisa im Elokim. You've already gone beyond the level of Elokim, And that's why you no longer have any struggle, and you are capable of being raised up to this higher level where you are dealing not only with Elokim and only Havai, but with Atzmus Umahus itself. And this is what effectuates the permanence of the level of Yisrael, in contrast to the temporary level, the Bechinas Arai of Yaakov. As we find that Yaakov disguised himself with the hair, that even though Esav was described as hairy, and that was a negative, but Yaakov used it to protect himself, that is, so he wouldn't be discovered, even though he was chalak, he was smooth-skinned. So again, it's the idea that he takes away any opportunity for nourishment of Kedusha to go to Klipa, and this way he releases himself from having to even battle with the Klipa at the Surmei Ra Nase Tov level, and he is thus able to effectuate the permanence level, like the permanence of the Beis Hamikdash, in contrast to the temporal characteristic of the Mishkan.